So this module is about the company goal and what you're going to do about the company goal, but there's actually another little piece we do just before the company goal. And that is really what is going on in the market. This exercise that I'm about to describe to you is extremely good to do with a reasonable sized group. It's very hard to do with a very small group. When we do these things in the real world rather than in the virtual world, we'll have a room with maybe 15 or 20 people in it, and they'll come from a variety of different partners, and you get many ideas. You know, you can do this with your customers to get the extra people in the room. And what we're doing here is we want to get many viewpoints onto the same subject. So it's called a four corners exercise. And what happens in the four corners exercise is literally in the four corners of the room, you're going to stick up a post-it board or a whiteboard with a different question. And it's kind of the same question, but it's through four different lenses. And you divide everybody in the room into four groups, and they start off in one of the corners. And you give them just 5 minutes to answer the question in that corner, blow a whistle, scream a horn, whatever, get them to move around, and they get 4 minutes on the next one, 3 minutes on the next one, 2 minutes on the last one, and then they get back to the corner they started off in. And they look at the ideas that other people have put in there. So what is this exercise all about? It's trying to understand externally what is going to be going on in the market. And we can't really look perfectly forward. We don't have the ability to do that, but we've got many clues as to what the future market might look like. So in the four corners exercise, you know, the questions that we ask is, what pain points will be affecting business in the future? You have to agree a time frame in 2 years' time that IT can solve. So what are the pain points that IT can solve 2 years out? Everyone's going to have some ideas on that. In the next corner, it might be, what are the predominant IT services that customers will buy? It's a similar question, but kind of framed a slightly different way. In the next one, you're going to ask yourselves, what will the big suppliers, the growing suppliers, the IT suppliers, what will they be selling? Might be different to what customers are buying, who only knows? And in the last one, it will really be about which IT channel partners are most at risk. Now, we've got those four corner questions, and in the resource you can download it and you can print those out and do it. If you do it with a customer, you will change the dynamics of the question somewhat. But if you want to see what the market is doing, get your customers involved. What a fantastic exercise to do with your customers. They're giving you free consulting, and you're actually helping them discover some stuff and building a great relationship. It's a very powerful exercise. So that's four corners, and I want to now draw your attention to the slide with the adoption hump in it. And we want to do that one as a build, but you know, there are 5 stages in any market growth. You know, you have your innovators, those guys that, you know, when the next amazing TV comes out with, you know, a gazillion colors and a gazillion pixels, somebody's going to buy it, no matter that the eye can only see, you know, 1.2 million colors. You know, the fact is, whether your eye can only see those colors or not, there are some people don't care about that. They want the latest, greatest thing. They're the innovators. Market research tells us that's 2.5%. You've got the early adopters, the kind of pioneers. They get it kind of early. They want to be investing early in the cycle. You've got the early majority. This is a huge kind of 34% section. You've got the late majority. You've got the long tail. You've got the laggards and the skeptics, the people that come there last. You've got to ask yourself in your business, who makes the most money? You know, the supplier in what part of it? Many people tell us there's not a lot of money in that early cycle. Why? Because those innovators, they tend to buy. They tend to know more than us. The market's very small. We don't even know if it'll work yet. And there's arguments for and against all the way through. But we're leading to what is our goal. And a way of leading into the goal is, what's the market going to need in the future? If we design our goal without thinking about the future demands of the market, you know, we're just doing it in isolation. It's kind of like a bad kung fu movie. In a bad kung fu movie, you know, there's a good guy who's good at kung fu, and there's loads of bad guys that can attack him, and they're good at kung fu. But in a bad kung fu movie, the hero fights one person at a time. That's not the way it happens in real life. They do that, by the way, to make the thing last like 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever. But when you're developing your business, you can't do it like a bad kung fu movie. You know, you've got to design your goal thinking of the future, not of today. So that's the next piece of the action, designing the goal. And we're going to give you a little exercise that you can do to do that with your team. But first, I'd like to tell you just a very quick story. And the story is about winning an Olympic gold medal. And I know in 2013 there were plenty of those in the UK. You know, even in 2014 in Sochi, more medals won. So you know, winning medals in the UK is not quite as far-flung a dream as it might have been some time ago. But I want to tell you a story about a guy called Ben, who back in 1996 was not even in the quarterfinals in a rowing 8 in Atlanta when Team GB had an absolutely atrocious performance. And Ben was asked after that race, you know, would you be in Team GB for the next 4 years to go to Sydney in pursuit of representing the country 4 years from now in Sydney? And I've got to ask you, is that a good day or a bad day for Ben? Most people would say it's a good day, because Ben has the privilege and the opportunity to represent his country. He can dedicate the next 4 years of his life to doing that, so that should be a good day. But Ben, interestingly enough, Ben didn't see it as a good day, because he knows something that you and I don't know. He knows that rowers don't have birthdays. Rowers don't have Christmas Day. Rowers don't have holidays. Rowers don't have nice food. Rowers get up every morning at stupid early o'clock and they row in freezing cold lakes in Latvia and wherever else it happens to be to get tougher and fitter and better. And they sacrifice their lives for like 4 years. Ben knew that the British Olympic selectors picked the best rowers to put them in the singles, the next best rowers in the pairs, the next best rowers in the fours. So if you're being invited to be in the eights, although you're rowing at an elite level, we're going to ask you to not have birthdays, not have Christmas, get up really, really early, go on frozen lakes, and by the way, you won't be with the best people, so you're probably not going to win a gold. So Ben didn't think it was a good day to be asked to represent Great Britain 4 years out and to work really hard for the next 4 years. So that's pretty negative, eh? So actually he then reframed and he had a new idea. You know, they knew that to win gold in Sydney, they would need an intellectual goal, if you like, of about 5 minutes and 18 seconds. Because if they ran down or rode down that track in 5 minutes 18, no one's going to guarantee them a gold, but that was going to be kind of gold medal winning time. But that is a very intellectual goal, and you can't get out of bed every morning, yeah, 5:18. It just doesn't work. So Ben and his mates, they kind of reframed the whole thing, and they said, you know what? The only way we're going to do this is we're going to get up every morning and we're going to be training to win a gold. Not training to try to win a gold, but training to win a gold. It was very emotional. And everything they did was, will it help the boat go faster? Will it help us win a gold? Suddenly, they leap out of bed, because if they want to win a gold, they better get up really, really early. They've got to be super motivated. So what we're now talking about is an emotional, shiny goal of winning gold, not 5 minutes 18. So if your business has a goal of being number one, or 10 million in revenue, or 100 employees, or something that is a number, don't expect people to bounce out of bed. Don't expect to bounce out of bed yourself for that number. You need a higher thing. And so actually, when you've got a shiny and emotional goal, it means something to everybody, to the families, the extended families. We're helping Ben win the gold. We don't mind he didn't turn up for his birthday. We're helping him win the gold. Everyone's bought in. It's a very compelling picture. And then suddenly we're really serious about the 518, and we're really serious about things that sit underneath that, KPIs. In many businesses, people don't like KPIs. It's stuff that you've got to do rather than stuff that you get to do. Well, the fantastic thing is, if you're running for an emotional goal, you get to do everything. So suddenly we get people excited about the KPIs. How fast do we do the first half of the track? How fast do we do the first 100 meters? You know what those nutters did? They wanted to know how fast they would row for how long before they actually passed out through stress. Now, that doesn't sound like a nice way to spend a day. But actually, if you really want to win gold, and you're really, really committed to winning gold, you will do what it takes. So have you got some compelling emotional goal that appeals to the people on your leadership team and to the people in your business? And if you haven't, you've got to ask yourself and challenge yourself the question, how are you going to achieve that? Haven't got a formula? but I'll leave you with that challenge. What we have got a formula for, and there's resources in the download that you can get, is an exercise to help envisage the future. So this won't give you the shiny bit, this won't give you the gold medal bit, but what this will do is it will help you decide what your business will look like a few years from now, the place that you're heading to. And if you don't know the place that you're heading to, it's pretty hard to get everybody onto the bus with you. So the 4 corners exercise that I described will give you some ideas, but here's the exercise. You're going to have a big circle, and around that circle, it's 3 years out, or whatever the time frame is, 2 years, 3 years out, whatever the future is for you, and you're going to have some indices on that marked around. You're going to say, financially, what are the numbers? What are the numbers a few years from now? You're going to have an indices around people. How many people, how many managers, what departments are they in? What's the business going to look like from a people point of view? You're going to have a customer one. What sort of customers are you dealing with? What are they buying from you? And in what ratio? How much of this and that are you selling to them in this market or that market? Some sort of breakdown. You might have one about partners and channels and your routes to market, because your routes to market in the future will be different to your routes to market today. And there might be some stuff about the environment, the systems, the offices, the processes. So that describes the business, and here's the exercise. That big circle is let's say 3 years from now. You scribble against each of those indices what you can see, and at the same time you get other people in the team to do the same exercise, and you then compare and contrast. It's amazing. When we do this exercise with business leaders, often there is more clarity and ambition shown through the next tier of management than even the owner themselves. Doesn't always go that way, but it's a very, very focused way to agree where we want to go in the future, which then drives your multi-year planning. If you haven't got multi-year planning, you're only having 1 year at a time. Go back to a story in sales. I used to interview a lot of sales guys, and I'd interview this guy and he'd say, yeah, no, I got 20 years sales experience, and I'd look at his stats, and I wouldn't think that he was selling nearly as much as I'd like a sales guy of 20 years experience to be selling, and I'd be challenging him, really, are you that good? And when I got into the detail of it, he hadn't got 20 years of sales experience. He actually had maybe 5 years, because he'd been repeating some of those years over and over and over. Let's hope it's not 1 year, the same year over and over, Groundhog Day times 20. But you know, many people with 20 years experience in sales actually kind of had 5 or 6. When I think about business leadership, I've been doing that stuff for 32 years. I have not got 32 years cumulative. I did some laps of the track. So this is a fantastic exercise to get everyone's experience onto that page and to set some really clear milestones as where you want to go to. Thank you. So one fantastic thing is the UK government's initiatives to help businesses grow. If your business has less than 250 staff and less than 40 million revenue in turnover, you're eligible for grants to help with the exact type of work that we're talking about here. So be sure to check out Growth Accelerator at Microsoft.com, where there's a ton of resource telling you how you can get hands on that funding and how it can help you drive your business forward.